Ready to go. You're ready.
Here we go.
You're live.
We're live. Hey. Day 5. Actually, it's not day 5. It's show 5. I don't know what day we're on. But show 5, we're going to recap the day. It was an interesting day. There were a lot of emotions today. There was the highest of the highs, and wow, was there some below the belt, absolute lowest of the lows that I've never experienced as an artist in the now like 20 some times that I've done this show, and 5 festivals I've been to now. I've never once experienced the, I don't want to say disrespect, I'll get into it in a moment, but I just never experienced this as an artist before. And I'm interested to see what you think when I share this with you. So let's go on the high first.
Yes.
The high was we had 21 people in the crowd. Whole front row, completely thrust, side and front, and some in the second row.
Couple in the back. Yeah.
Were
Second
completely
row.
filled. They were alive. They were energized. They were laughing. They were. I made a woman cry. What she told me after, it was healing, therapy, beautiful tears. Man, did I need that reminder that this is why I do this show. There was a young African-American gentleman, teen, sitting in the front, and you said you were letting him. Usually you're the one who like starts to clap. And he started to clap. And he was just beaming at me with these beautiful white chiclets.
He was cute.
He was just the cutest thing. And it just meant so much to me that the audience just absolutely loved it. People stayed after to tell me they had narcissistic parents. They felt seen. They felt heard. Thank you for bringing this show forward. Thank you for doing this. We all needed it to heal. So that was a huge win.
Check.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What part?
I don't know.
I don't know. I was the same crap.
25 minutes late.
Yeah, we showed up and she's like, "Oh, we're running 5 minutes late," and we're like, "Okay, that's cool. I can handle that."
Cool. I can do that.
So now, if they've done what I think they've done is they've just started to lie to us. I think they're like, "Oh, they're here."
Oh, we definitely have they give me the look when I walk
and then
in.
they're like,
"Oh yeah, we're totally labeled."
Yeah, 5 minutes late. Go have a seat. And then like 5 minutes late, she comes in and says, "Okay, yeah, they should be any minute. Just go downstairs and wait." So then they shove us. They put us downstairs, and then it's like another 10 minutes, and then they come and they just say, "They'll be done anytime."
They lied to us.
Couple minutes.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so it turned out to be 25 minutes.
Same shit show. So
25 minutes.
20 minutes late. The tech girl is quite lovely.
So then tech girl came,
nice.
and
really like her.
she's like a ray of sunshine. She's just one of those people
She's
that
cute.
like she has a bubbly spirit.
She's cute.
She's very happy. She's very like, you can tell she loves like what she does.
She was the one who did our show on the very first night. It was the very first tech she'd ever did in her whole entire life.
The one who whispered to me right before the show, she goes, "This is my first show I've ever done."
We're nice.
You got this.
We're kind.
I literally said that. I said, "You got this."
And there were 2 big mess ups. At 2 points in the show, she did a complete blackout.
Yeah.
The lights just went out.
She did not do a blackout.
But here's what she said.
So
why hasn't that happened other nights?
So she said, no, it did. It happened last night.
I don't know.
It did. It happened last night. And I think he just went to the next queue. But then, anyway.
She said it's programmed wrong.
So right immediately after the show, she's like, "That queue is wrong.
I'll fix it."
She like literally was like, I brought it up and she's like, "Look, that's the queue." She's like, "Why is he doing a blackout? That's not right." And then like the other people came in, the next show came in, and they're like, "It's our showtime. We gotta go. We don't have time." And
but that is
appreciate
valid.
that. I appreciate.
I was like, I totally get it. We're running 30 minutes behind or whatever. I totally get it.
So then she said, "I'm closing tonight."
Yeah. So
she's like, "Don't worry." She's like, "I'll stay late and I'll make sure I fix that queue."
See, so for anybody that like, for anybody that's like, "Oh, you're just being a jerk and being hard on the tech people." No, she put me in blackout twice tonight. Completely blacked out in the middle of the scene, no lights. And for a second, I was like, "Oh shit, did like I thought the power went out. Like for a second, I was like, oh my God, did we like lose power? And then she got messed up on the other like baby scene again. I had to pretend. I'm getting really good at crying like a baby as I'm playing the baby instead of having the sound cue. I am the baby. So that's very interesting. But we rolled with it. And again, like mistakes happen. I get it. But what happened last night was just again that was
the girl
atrocious.
tonight. She was just flustered.
She was all right.
Yeah.
So the big win, 21 the audience. And
huge win. The audience was like, if you could have an audience here.
Yeah,
that would be the audience. I can have that audience every night, and I'd be like over the moon happy.
You saw the response from. Well, I took it down.
Our director, or
I took it down.
He's like the GM, I guess, like the general manager.
I took it down because I realized again in the land of Facebook, people are going to have polarizing opinions about things. And I had a great conversation with my friend Shelly Cooper, who's going to be on here maybe, how she was saying, long story short, it's bullshit that we as artists are like, oh, just be happy that you're making art and just be happy that you have a place to put it up. And she's like, yeah, we've all dealt with crap, but like, does that make it okay? Should we have dealt with that? Probably not. Like she was like, don't let people like gaslight you and tell you that. Just spread love and light to everyone and let them screw up and make mistakes. And
yeah, but I think that mentality comes from how it used to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I might be wrong, but like, I think when the Fringe Festival started, it was like
people
free.
Were happy. It was a free Fringe.
It was like, we're going to open our doors to the public.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have artists come in and present their work to you, the audience, for free. Essentially,
yeah,
or maybe it was like a buck or something.
And there was a pop-up. There were like pop-up venues.
Yeah,
so
it was.
People didn't pay
or like we see on the
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, like we drive by, we take the bus past these streets. Like it's called the Royal Mile here.
It's beautiful.
And if you go down the road, it's stunning. It's like overlooking the castle. But if you go down there, like
they're
probably between like noon and like 5 p.m. Crazy. Like there's probably like 10,000 people on that street.
Yeah.
And it's just buskers. It's people presenting, showcasing, doing juggling acts.
It's cool.
That's what the Fringe used to be, and now
it's a
business.
It's a business.
You
pay a lot of money
to
come here, and I know it's my own personal trigger, but I get really pissed off when people say you're so lucky, you're so blessed. Like that's like a trigger for me because it's not about luck and being blessed. Like we work our butts off to be able. Lucky and blessed would have been if we would have crowdfunded. And I would have tried to raise $50,000 and people would have given me $50,000 so that I could come out here. Yeah. To me, that would warrant a lucky and blessed because people were so generous and kind and gave me money and I could be out here doing this thing.
That's not even
lucky
luck.
And blessed.
Luck is like I won the lottery.
I worked my butt off to present good art and be out here. And the reason why it's triggering to me is because I had 2 instances today where basically people told me to sit down, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Stop complaining, stop talking. Like it's today. I said to Eric, I'm realizing this experience is so much bigger than the Fringe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like all day, I didn't do anything today. So normally we're out, and you and Oliver went out to grab a few,
yeah, we just went for a walk
and I was like, I'm emotionally spent today from all this crap from yesterday. And I'm like, I just need to sleep. I need to rest. I don't want to go out. I don't want to walk around. I don't want to fly. Like, I don't want to do anything. And where was I going with this? I completely lost my train of thought. How tired I am. I don't know. What was I saying? Dear God.
I think you were saying what you did while we went out.
Oh, thank you. Yes. That's how tired I am. I'm like, God, like what is the purpose in this? Like what is the meaning? What is the message? Help me learn from this. Like help me learn from this. What is the lesson? And that's the message that just kept coming through to me is that it's so much bigger than the Fringe. It's so much bigger than the Fringe. And it was interesting because I won't name names, but a peer from here said, I listened to your live and I know exactly who you're talking about. And I know exactly where you're talking about. And they said we had an outrageous run where I am. And he threatened me with destroying my name in the fringe space. And in his words, "You will never perform in Edinburgh in your life again." I reported him to the fringe. So many performers will not deal with him and will never use his spaces again. And I'm so sorry you suffered. He's a big bully. This man and his company are horrific. He's a bully to performers and staff. So I'm so happy that she reported them. And I'm realizing that this is like, you know, when I had some comments on my post earlier, I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this. Like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just sit down and shut up. And then I'm like, no, people need to know.
Yeah.
People need to know that it's not okay to treat people like this. And we don't just accept this and say, okay.
Yeah.
You know, by saying, oh, odd, you're the only one who's complained. That's not taking any accountability for the mistakes.
No.
And Pam says, "What's my biggest learn or takeaway this far?"
Yeah,
I'll
finish your
tell
thought.
you.
Yeah, finish your thought.
It's just, I mean, that's my one thought
too.
about that is that when people treat you poorly, or you pay a lot of money to be somewhere and like do something. Oh, Ellen, wait till you hear what I got coming for you next. And Pam, it's atrocious. I can't in conscience know that this is happening and not say anything about it. You know, and I know that this isn't related, but I'll say one really quick thing. I went to a peer show and it was beautiful, and it was about sexual assault. And she was saying that the man who sexually assaulted her had he was known around the office as Handsy Dave. And long story short, as soon as she came back after it happened, they said, "Did something happen?" And she was saying everyone knew he was a rapist. Everyone knew he had problems. Everyone knew he got drunk and got handsy. Everyone knew it wasn't safe to be around him, yet nobody warned me. Now, I know that's a massive, we're not comparing apples to apples, but when I hear stories like that, I think I can't stay silent about abuse that happens to people, because I don't want it to happen to somebody else. I don't want another artist to come to this festival and go through the same exact thing that I'm going through. We work too freaking hard for it.
When you could have warned them, or at least given them the advantage of this is possible.
If I would have known that, anyway, if I would have had any inkling that this wasn't a good situation, I wouldn't have booked here and I wouldn't have gone here.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to be able to control what we can control and and make it through, because it's not even about that. It's about the audience, and it's about them, and it's about putting the story forward in whatever fashion. You know, there's going to be hiccups. The tech's going to be screwed up. We're going to be late. Like, that's just how this is going to run, I think, here. And it's a distraction I'm going to have to use to my advantage, and I'm just going to have to work with it. And it's going to make, and even like Shelly was saying that too, where she was like, don't let people tell you that, it's going to make you a better performer. And I mean, it is, but it is true. That is bullshit. Like, it still doesn't mean that. I know people are saying that out of love. They're not saying it out of like, they are saying it out of love, and it's great, but it is true. Like, yes. And you don't just settle and go, oh, well, I'm being treated like crap, but I'm just going to sit down and shut up about it. So ironically, do you want to say anything else about that before I go to the big one?
No, I lost my.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I talked too much.
That's okay.
Maybe we'll come back to you. So ironically, my worst nightmare came true last night. In that, if you watched our live and you heard the shit show, so yes, 2 reviewers came last night in the midst of the absolute worst possible
tech known to mankind.
Tech show run late.
Short of just not even having power on.
Yeah, it was a dumpster fire. It was a dumpster fire. So these reviewers that came were students. And so far, students have been loving the show. They've been coming and very receptive and telling me how much they love it and how much it means to them and how they need it and the whole bit. So as we're 25 minutes late tonight, I went to make sure my phone was on, because I had my alarm on earlier when I took a nap. So I wanted to make sure my phone was in my bag on silent. So I pulled my phone out because I was like, oh, I better make sure this stupid thing's on silent. And I saw ED Fringe review. And that was so stupid. I shouldn't have opened it. And I did. And 2 stars. 2 stars. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Fine. 2 stars. Not gonna let it get. They didn't like it. Fine. They think it's shit. Fine. Yes, 25 minutes late again. Yeah, people are like having to leave my show early because they have other shows to get to. So I'm like, all right, fine. 2 stars. These students don't like it. It wasn't their cup of tea. Fine. So I'm like, don't let it get in your head, Lisa. It's not important. You hold on to. So there was a point before I get into, but wait till you hear the review. Wait till I tell you what they wrote about it.
Should make this like a joint call.
I know. We should bring Joyful.
Join everybody in.
Joyful. Well, you should come on this with us tomorrow because you're here and you're an artist and you're going through the shit with us too. Tomorrow I'm going to bring you on.
Make this a collab.
So you said you saw it. I was actually really impressed. I was really hurt, and then I was like, F this. I can't let it in. I can't let it in because I thought there were only 11 people on the ticket
roster.
Thing. So 10 more people like just came. I guess last minute decided. So in my mind, I was like, I have 11 people that I can't let down. Like, this story matters, which was verified by people laughing and crying and telling me after how much they healed. They're healing from it. People are telling me they are healing from seeing this story, and that is everything to me. So I was like, forget it. I'm going to give them the best show of my life. And you said, what did you say to me when we were walking home? It's weird because I don't recognize this, but you always say this to me.
Yeah, like I saw this in Hamilton too when you did Hamilton Fringe. Like by the third, fourth performance, Lisa stops. She stops trying to be perfect. So like, keep in mind, Lisa's rehearsed every day, nonstop, to be here. So you can imagine the repetition that takes on, and you embody it, right? And today I saw it where it's different. And in a good way, where she stops caring about being perfect and just embodies the actual characters. It's weird, but that's how I would explain it. Like, I would imagine like a professional actor would do that. You know, 1 minute you're talking to Leonardo DiCaprio and he's got his normal voice and he's like, yeah, cool, man, I'll see you after. And then next thing you know, he's going to shoot a scene and it's like, who is that guy? And that's what Lisa did tonight. That's what I saw. Like, Lisa just became that person in that character, in that moment, and nothing else. Nothing could shake her. Like, I could probably go up there, run across naked, and she'd be like, whatever. Anyway, moving on. And that's cool.
I felt in it. I felt really grounded in the truth of what this story means. And the 2 stars, I was just like, that is going to hurt. People judge whether they go to see a show or not based on these stupid effing stars that they give you. And I'm like, 2 stars is going to make people not come. And all I'm hearing is about how, and then you were like, that's not true. You had 21 people in your audience. Like, but that's my worry, is that it's blocking the message of healing because reviewers are just like murdering me out here. They're just absolutely murdering me out here. And it was interesting because I was talking to someone after and they said, you know, when you get it, you get it. And when you don't get it, it just completely goes over your head. Yeah. And I think I've just been having reviewers come out that it completely goes over their head. Now, here is, I never thought that I would do this, but I actually asked. So they sent me the review. They said, before they're going to post the 2 stars, they're going to send me it and I can see it. And I said, great. And I said, you know what? If it's actually valuable and it's something that like someone said they really didn't like or didn't make sense, that's worth like having a look at and going, okay, maybe I did something, or maybe there is something that's, room to grow. I'll tell you what the review said, but I actually wrote to them and I said, you cannot publish this. I said, you absolutely cannot publish this. And I said, it has nothing to do with me as an artist. I said, I have thick skin. I said, you can criticize me, my singing, my acting, my writing. Like, you can criticize that and say it's the worst piece of shit you've ever seen in your life, and I can take it. But what you actually wrote is, I need you to understand that this is secondary victim shaming. And this is the exact reason why this story is powerful, because people like this are telling us that have suffered from psychological narcissistic abuse to sit down, shut up, you're lying, your story doesn't matter, and nobody gives a shit about it. And that is why people don't go to therapy. That is why people commit suicide. That is why people drown themselves in drug addictions. That is why people try to gamble it out, work it out, screw it out, drink it out, smoke it out, because there's no place. They're not being heard and validated and seen. And I said, you cannot post this review because it is going to be incredibly damaging to the people that are coming to the show and are being seen and are being heard. So I'll read it quick. It'll probably take me like a minute to read. So hang in here. And then I'll read you what I pulled out and said, this is damaging and this is why you can't post it. So in criminal investigations, there is a curious phenomenon psychologists observe whereby innocent people are more likely to incriminate themselves to the police than guilty people, because they falsely believe that their innocence coats through every fiber of their being like an unmissable signpost. And they therefore don't need to worry about what they are saying or how they say it in their story. In writing Too Big for Her Britches, one gets the sense that Lisa Pezik may have fallen into this trap. The things that have happened to her are undoubtedly awful, but the simple fact of them is not enough to make us care. Barely 10 minutes into the show, Pezik has listed off the ways she could kill herself, apparently prompted by nothing more than a short-term boyfriend's rejection of her. This scene lacks the emotional buildup required to make the audience feel anything about it, except, I imagine, incredibly triggered if one had any personal experience with such incidents. The content warnings mention distressing or potentially triggered themes, but doesn't go into specifics, which for such themes as bulimia and suicide is careless to the point of dangerous. This lack of development is a flaw throughout the show, as Luna suffers blow after climatic blow without the requisite rising crescendo of distress. Her father appears in one short scene when Luna is 9, canceling their basketball session because he can't cope with her mother's paranoia and decides to leave. He returns shortly after. He comes off pretty well in this scene, especially as Luna's mother has been at least been fairly well established as the show's unequivocal source of toxicity. And yet, the next final time he appears, when Luna is in her 20s and bringing her fiancé home for Thanksgiving, he throws her out and tells her she is the one distressing her mother. Not only does this make no sense, it is yet another example of a tragic thing happening for which we can feel no sympathy, as we simply can't believe it. The framing device of Luna's life being controlled by alter ego come fairy godmother figure shame warrioress, far from providing structure, makes the plot even more confusing. Surely the antonym shame would be another abstract quality like courage rather than a type of person. Pezik's character acting is generally strong, and taking on 20 different characters in one show is no small feat. However, she does unfortunately resort to some crude tricks to differentiate them at times. Shame has something of an Ursula the Sea Witch about her, and the faux British accent of a Disney villain and expansive hand gestures, and then mysteriously develops a smoking habit midway through, giving the impression that Pezik simply forgot to give this affection in the first half. In a moment that feels particularly beyond the pale wits portraying different therapists, Pezik adopts a non-native English-speaking accent of indeterminate origin for a woo-woo therapist who also uses yoga-like hand gestures. It feels, if not an explicit microaggression, at least in bad taste, as does the introduction of a gay step instructor halfway through, whose only characteristic is to prance around the stage with a limp wrist saying, "Girl." I don't say girl. And the sole purpose of the story is to take her to a gay bar where she meets a drag queen who tells her to keep filling her britches. That's not what I actually said. Luna herself questions whether it is her place to go to that bar, and as a straight woman, and while I am glad her discovering other people's queer joy helped her in her own life, I can't help but think Pezik may have taken the time to question whether this character was really hers to portray. In terms of performance, there is no doubt that Pezik can sing and act. Her songs are sound, even though they are cliched and predictable. There are moments early on in the play where she is portraying a teenage girl, where we see flashes of true emotion. However, at a festival packed to the gills with excellent performers, this just isn't enough. Billed as a dark comedy, this show barely garners a chuckle from the audience. They're pissing their pants tonight, just to be clear. And even then, at only her ridiculous impressions of the trashy men Luna dates, which quickly gets old. Which makes all of this worse is that Luna's story is Piszik's own. We then know everything we have seen past to be true, but it doesn't make the performance any more convincing. I can only hope it is bringing her some sort of healing. So yeah, so I said, here are the things. I said, clearly this reviewer has absolutely no understanding of narcissistic abuse. They have no understanding of psychological abuse. Because the family, or like the people that came to talk to me to tell me that she had a narcissistic, actually it was opposite. She had they had narcissistic parents. And they were like, yep, the words that you use were exactly what I heard my entire life growing up. Yep, the way that you felt, it made me go all the way to suicide. One was enabling and not in the picture, and one was the narcissist. So the way that the characters are in this play are for a reason when you understand the dynamic of narcissism and psychological abuse. So I said, these things that say the simple fact of them is not enough to make us care, prompted by nothing more than a short-term boyfriend's rejection of her. Bulimia and suicide is careless to the point of dangerous. Tragic thing that happened that we feel no sympathy, and we simply can't believe it. It feels like an explicit microaggression. It was interesting because somebody told me yesterday, they said, thank you so much for having that therapist montage. I didn't go to therapy because I couldn't find the right one. And yep, I saw every single one of those therapists you described. And I was like, yep. That was exactly my experience. And they were like, thank you for helping me be seen. And they were like, that scene is going to help so many people. And actually a therapist back in Canada told me that scene is going to help, so many people. And then I said, barely garners a chuckle from the audience. Well, whatever. The audience was rolling on the ground laughing tonight, but they were trying to say barely chuckles from barely garners a chuckle because my play was so inappropriate and horrible is basically what and it's damaging to people is what they were saying. And then lastly, it doesn't make the story convincing. So I'm not trying to defend myself, Pina. And I get it. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is, how do I say this? When you are a survivor of parental narcissistic abuse, the world says to you, oh, but it was just your parent. The world doesn't want to believe that our parents could be our first bullies. And I love you too, Peanut. And I know you're not, I'm not like getting in an argument with you. And I'm saying this, I'm just explaining like why I feel so passionate about this. Because if you read books like Mother Hunger, Will I Ever Be Good Enough, Emotionally Absent Parents, The Body Keeps Score. Yeah, Sinead O'Connor. Exactly. When people that have narcissists as parents aren't seen and heard and believed and loved and cared for, they do exactly what happens in my play. They get addictions, they date douchey men, they commit suicide, they turn to drugs and addiction,
they do harm.
They can't keep a relationship, they can't keep a job. It was interesting because the play that I saw with the one that I kept referring to with the woman who was sexually assaulted, she had this really cool scene where she trashed the whole set. She trashed it. And then she said trauma rewires your brain that nothing ever goes back to the way it was before. Nothing ever goes back to the way it was before, and you are left to pick up the pieces of your broken life and decide and to sort it and decide what you want to keep and what you don't want to. And when someone has had parental narcissistic abuse, it's PTSD. It is however many years they're allowing to be in with this narcissist. It is that complete destruction of your life. So when someone comes to you and says, this is stupid, I don't believe it, this didn't happen to you, this isn't relevant, stop freaking talking about it, this is horrible, it's like secondary victim shaming. So I think for someone to read that review as a survivor of narcissistic abuse, because these are the people that are coming to my show, people who have dealt with narcissists. Actually, I think it was a guy. Well, it was a guy and a girl. There were 2 reviews, and the second one was just as volatile, but I'm not going to read it because we don't, you get the point. We don't need to do overkill. But I'm just like, you can't post that. Like, I mean, I'm sure they're going to say too freaking bad. We are going to post it. But I'm just thinking that is exactly why I'm doing the show. Like, that's so damaging. Anybody who's done with any kind of assault or trauma, they know what secondary victim shaming is. When somebody's raped and they say, well, what were you wearing and what were you drinking and why were you walking in that alley? And I mean, even the beginning of this thing, I'm like, I don't even understand what he means about this whole
that whole intro. I'm like, what?
Like about criminal investigations, innocent people are more likely to incriminate themselves to the police than guilty people. What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, what are you trying to say? That a line?
I guess. So I think he's trying to say, I'm trying to say my parents hurt me when I'm the one that's to fault.
Yeah, kind of like the analogy of the rape.
And it's like,
it's your fault. It's your fault they did this to you.
And it's just, oh man, like it's just, I shook it off. Like I said, I'm like, I'm not going to let this get to me. I just think about the impact. I just think about the impact that, again, like that's why this show is needed, because I guess the critics are going to hate it, but the audiences love it, and the audiences are seen and they're healed. And the 2 stars and the 3 stars might hurt the audience and it might hurt the show.
Yeah,
but I can't do anything about that.
Like Pina, I see what you're saying.
Pina's awesome.
And like I agree with you. Like, but it's like they say, it's easier said than done. Right?
Like fuck her.
That's like me. Like I agree. I'm similar to what Pina, like what you're saying, but that's easy for us to do, right? Because it's not. This is the hardest thing about Lisa's story, is that it's true. They
literally said in their review, I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I don't believe that happened. I don't believe it.
Like, we actually had people that stayed after, and they're like, "Is that all true?" And then the husband.
They said how much of that's
how much is that is true? At least it's like 100%. And then the husband looked at me and he went, "Yeah, you would have been there for that, for some of that, right?" Yeah. When as soon as Greg is introduced, Greg was there. I was there. Like, this is my whole thing with Lisa's story, is I'm like, I was part of that. I was there. I lived that scene with her. So if anyone wants to challenge that Lisa's making this shit up so that she can get what? Validation, praise, whatever you want to think, it has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that this is the life of a narcissist. A narcissist, you could stand beside them and you would think they were the sweetest person on earth. And then that same person, it's like Jeffrey Dahmer. Not to that degree, but you, like, in that sense, Jeffrey Dahmer standing beside me and have a beer with the guy, and I'm like, "Hey, cheers. You're a really cool dude." Next thing you know, the guy's got bodies sitting in his apartment. And he's cooking up biceps.
This live just went real dark, real fast.
Now, would you say the same thing about that if Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't in jail right now? Would you say, "Oh, come on, you just made that up. You just made that up to make it so dramatic." And it's unbelievable
Narcissists are the most convincing. And even Jaden, they're trying to play the whole like I'm being disrespectful to gay people, and that's a true story. Jaden showed up like that for me, and it's an honor to him. He's an honor in that play. Jaden saved my freaking life. Jaden took me to the gay bars where people were inclusive and beautiful to me, and it's a celebration of the gay community and the joy and the strength and the resilience and the love. So to say that I'm like trying to like harm the gay community, I'm like, please don't put that out. Like you can't. I'm just like, wow, okay, wow.
I just thought about that. I know where he was getting the "you" from. He's confusing the DJ.
From what?
Hey, girl.
Yeah, that's
the DJ.
They didn't even get the names of the
Oh my
characters
God.
right.
He said you were 9-year-old with the basketball. You were 13.
They didn't pay attention anyway. But look what Ellen said. Ellen's got to go. But I like where she said,
I put that
"Don't decide don't decide all the critics based on this experience."
I'm trying to put the comments up.
Anyway, but it's just it just sucks when you're out here healing people and doing and putting this out, and people are healing from it, and then you just have this whole like boatload of critics that just like want to see you fail.
Yeah, and
it just hurts.
And I think the underlying point here is you're all right. Like and I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think Lisa's taking the review to heart. She's not going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm defeated."
Well, yeah, I am taking it to heart.
No, but I'm saying you're not taking
piece of it that goes like, "Ouch."
But the biggest message for you is that if there's other people who need this show,
yes, to
be heard and seen, and to walk away from it, even if it's one person who is sitting in that thought of whatever it is, they're sitting in the thought of committing suicide. They're sitting in the thought of oh no, that's just my parents, or that's just my husband, or that's just my boyfriend, and they come to your show and they say, "Oh my God, I need to make a change." This review would stop that person possibly, and that's wrong.
Well, saying that my show is going to trigger them and it's harmful, they're not going to come.
To me, and that's wrong.
They're not going to come. And the whole point, and
you have trigger warnings.
Everyone's been saying the opposite. Everyone's been saying it's the complete opposite. It's the most healing, validating thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And they're trying to say, I have microaggressions. I'm attacking the gay community. I'm lying and making things up. And none of it is true. And, oh, woe is me. Sit down, shut up. Nobody cares. The audience doesn't care. It's not convincing enough for anybody to care. And that's going to do some damage.
I'll re-say the title. This was a Gen Z reviewer.
Millennial, or not millennial, Gen Z. Students.
You know, for me personally, like my side of this, when Lisa started reading the review, the first thing I said to her is, A, is this person have any background in psychology? Probably not. B, does this person have any musical background? Have they ever studied music? Have they ever taught music? Have they ever wrote music? Probably not. Has this person ever dealt with trauma in their life? I saw these people, by the way. I know exactly who they were. I know visually what they look like. And I have my opinions, and I won't say them publicly, but I can tell instantly that it's very unlikely that these people have ever been in a situation of neglect or trauma. I doubt it. And that's not to say that they have. Maybe they have. But from their review, I'm gonna say I doubt it. And this show is not for you. If you're coming for entertainment, if you're coming to see Lisa's show because you want to laugh, you want to walk away and go, "Oh my gosh, that was a great fairy tale," not the show. And back to Pina's point, you might be right. This might be a new genre of theater, because we do struggle with that. Even when they say, what category is your show? We struggle because we're like, it doesn't really fit a category. The categories they give you is like the closest thing is musical or opera. Musical, opera, theater.
Be theater, I guess. But
I
like what Pina said here about reviews do not have as much weight as you think. People aren't sheep if they choose not to go based on review.
100%.
They
That's
don't want
tonight.
it.
Look at tonight. We're like, why
Why
were there 21 people
loved
tonight?
it, and they loved it.
No reason. Like
They-
the hour
they
before
loved
Lisa
it.
was going on stage, she had 11 tickets showing. I don't. Why? Why did the other 10 people show up?
I love it. And stay after to tell me how much it moved them, and laugh and clap and cheer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a great point. I said that too, Pamela. I was like,
no.
why don't these people put on a one-person show? I'd love to see.
I feel like I'm like, I talk about Bo all the time.
We're like going on like 40 minutes here.
But well, I don't care. This is important. People can catch a replay or go. But hey, Leona.
Grab some popcorn.
Yeah, grab some popcorn and go back. Bo always says, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people who play and there's people who view. There's people who are in the arena and there's people who aren't. It's he always says, like, what makes people want to become critics? What time is it? It's 11:49 our time here.
Yeah, 10 to 12.
10 to 12. It's
midnight.
Like he says, like, who would sign up for that job?
Yeah.
To go and
Who wants to be a critic?
Tell the person where the strong man stumbled.
What they did right, what they did wrong.
Like, he's like, who would I always said, like, I know I gotta get to bed. This is kind of the average here.
It's only what, 5 o'clock for us?
I was always saying I could never be a reviewer. Like, I could never do it because I would not have the heart to criticize. I know how much goes into, I shouldn't say that. I could be a reviewer and I would give constructive criticism. Like, I would say where, like even in the one review, like even okay, fine, even where they said, oh, me smoking with Shame in the second half makes me seem like I forgot to do it with her in the first half, and we put it in because when Warrior S comes in, Shame gets stressed, and that's why Shame starts smoking in the second half, because she's losing control of the play and she's losing control of Luna because Luna's getting stronger. But I was like, okay, maybe I can bring Shane smoking in like earlier in or something, if like, or I can add a line where she's like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I'm like, that fine. That kind of criticism all freaking day long. That helps to play. That helps to grow.
Yeah.
That was a piece that wasn't clear to you and you're telling me about it. Amazing. All day long, I'll take. Even if you're like, she's the worst singer I've ever heard in my life, I'm like, well, that's your opinion, cool. But what they wrote in that review is damaging. Like, that is damaging, and that is,
and it's damaging for audience.
And,
it's not damaging like for you.
Yeah. So word on the street is, I do have I have a theater viewer from Denmark coming on the 14th. And then I have a musical theater reviewer coming on the 17th. So it's just interesting to kind of see, where you land with this. But the most important thing is the audiences love it.
And, it is true what they say, like, there's no bad press. Like, well,
that's not true.
No, it's true. It is true because, like, even here, it's funny. Like, I didn't show you, but there's a play here, and on her poster, on all her media, it's 1 star and 2 stars. But then she writes a little comment underneath it that's like, it's hilarious. Like, she takes it and uses it in a positive spin. And like, it stuck with me for that reason, because I'm like, oh my God, these people are giving this play like 1-2 stars. But then her rebuttal or her like comment is hilarious. And I'm like, I want to go see it. Like, I don't even know. Like, she's like, come see the worst theater play that only gets 1 and 2 stars.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go see that, like, because it sounds funny. Like, I'm like, if you're witty enough to say that, I'm sure you're probably funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's not bad press in the sense that someone might say exactly what we're saying and go, I gotta see this thing. Like, and then come and see it and have their own opinion and go, those people are crazy. Or agree, whatever. At the end of the day, they saw it and they have their own takeaway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. Clearly I triggered that little gent. Because that was, I don't read reviews. Yeah. I mean, you can't. You're right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to post a couple comments here.
Yeah. You killing it. I am killing it. I'm like pumped with these. Like that was cool to see 21 people. Like we've had 17, 16, 14, 18, 21. Like it's been, well, we only had 8 actually. And then we had one night it was 8. I think it was like 16, 14, 8, 17, 21 or something. I don't know what it was, but it's been it's been the, it's good. Some audiences are, it's hit or miss. Like some are very interceptive and they don't laugh and they don't say them. I'm sure some people don't like it. Like, that's valid. Like that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. Like Pete, even with you saying like I don't read reviews.
Yeah.
That's me with movies.
I need to stop. Right?
With movies, like I despise when I've watched so many like globey, whatever you call it. What's the global awards or global?
I don't know.
Golden Globes.
Oh yeah.
I've seen so many movies that I'm like, ew, that thing won those awards. Like after the fact, then I've seen other movies where I'm like, constant, don't watch this movie, and I watch it, I'm like, I love that.
Yeah,
movie.
here's our houses: 15, 14, 17, 14, 21. And I saw somewhere somebody posted tomorrow is supposed to be the crappiest day of the Fringe with the lowest ticket sales, and I have 16 so far. Not even like that's 15, 14, 17.
Yeah,
14,
if that's
21,
a repeat
16.
of tonight, you might have 25.
Like that's a good.
It's a good show.
That's a good show. So there you have it.
Yeah.
Critics hate me, audiences love me. There you go.
There you go.
And who knows what's going to happen.
Gen Z, apparently, maybe they shouldn't come to your show.
That's not true, though, because those psychotherapy
that's true.
Students told me, like...
But again, see, back to my comment. Psychotherapy students.
They understand.
They understand, like... Yeah, anyway.
Well, actually, Bonnie was a critic. It was a student critic review. Audiences love it. Audiences never have anything bad to say about it. They say how much it heals them and they love it and it's needed. But this was actually like a student critics. Although my PR person told me that nobody cares about their reviews because they're students that just try to get free tickets to theater. It's what the word on the street was. So she was like, I don't know if you want them to come in, but of course audiences reviews are scary too, right? You are buying, there are people that are dead inside and they don't give you anything.
Or they just weren't meant to see your show.
Yeah, so it's true. Like that is the bravery that comes with, one person can be disgruntled for some reason. Did you put that one up? That's a good one.
Yeah, I did.
One person can be disgruntled for their own reason, and that's more their own weird perception than anything else. 100%. 100%. You just don't know. And again, critics, it's, like you don't know. I just wish they didn't have the power that they think they do. But anyway. That's that. So, yeah, this story is needed. I'll take the audience loving over critics any day. Very true, Bam.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's just, this is definitely a lesson in resilience and distractions.
Yeah,
I can't believe it blacked out twice. I was like, oh my God, did we lose power?
You're becoming a master.
I am a master.
Of
crap, just going crazy.
Yeah.
What did Diana Varco say too? Diana Varco was here and she had something really good to say. I don't want to miss it.
I think I put it up.
Yeah, Diana's a fellow and artist. Joyful. I forget where we saw it, but anyway.
I put it up here. I'll find it.
It's okay.
You just talk.
It doesn't matter. There she is. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I put that up.
That's not cool. That's such a really long review. Who writes such a tirade? That's uncalled for. That's what I mean. It's just, as much as you want to say, don't let it bother you. I didn't bring it into my performance. I rocked it tonight and I was so connected. But it also hurts as a person when somebody attacks you. Like, again, I can take she sucks, she's a shitty singer, this play was poorly written. Like, I can take criticism of my craft. When someone personally attacks me and that's supposed to be a theater review, that's hard to swallow. Like, that hurts. Because I'm human.
Yeah.
And whenever somebody personally attacks you and has the power to put it in print and put it in print at the most prestigious arts festival in the world, that can do some damage. And that's just the part that's, you're like, oof, okay. Let's hope the audience can just drown this out. Last thing I'll say is our work is powerful in this community. We will trigger others. Great work does that. Yeah. Oh, the 2 agreements. I don't know. I know the 4 agreements. I don't know the 2 agreements. Don't give it power. There's a big responsibility in making critical statements, especially if the person doesn't have the proper background to make an assessment. It sounds like what they did was that's like what you were saying, where you're like, they don't know about narcissism. They don't have a degree in psychology. They don't, oh yeah, the 4 agreements. I think I've read that a while ago, but like they have no bearing to come in and say her experience isn't real and she's not telling the truth and this is going to damage and hurt people.
Even how he starts on criminal psychology, like, what?
Am I on trial somewhere? Am I?
Like, I could see if you opened up and said, I'm a psychology minor. This is my take. Oh, okay. I'd listen.
Yeah.
I'd listen.
It's just interesting. It's like, let's persecute the persecuted. Cool.
Yeah, I agree with Pina. Yes, you're right. You're right. Everyone has a right to their opinion.
Of course, that's what critics are. That's what they do.
But however, when you label yourself a critic, I think you have to have something to back that up. Like, I personally would feel like a douchebag if I went and wrote a review on someone's show, and no.
Yeah, because you don't. What training?
What am I talking about? Like, how could I? How dare I? That's an insult itself to the artist, right? And that's where they're students. Number one, I have no idea what their students in, and I'm going to take a guess. It's not theater. Maybe it is.
Yeah,
maybe
I think it is. I think it is actually. They are theater students. That's who it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So so in that case, if it was a comment on the art, then all day long, I'll hear it.
That's kind of what the second. I don't have to read it, but that's kind of what the second review was.
There was 2 reviews.
They basically just said like my songs are stupid and my show is shit, and I was like, okay, whatever. And that's what I said to them. I said that second review, I said, is literally just a full out criticism of me and my work. I said, and that's fine. I said I have thick skin. I have broad shoulders. I can take that. That's fine. Yeah. But I said this first review, I said is damaging, and I just want you to be aware of how damaging that is. So that's the playing field out here. It's just funny because you come out and you think that you're going to the largest arts festival in the world where everybody's a pro and people are going to meet you with the same professionalism that you meet them. And people are going to be fair and they're going to be honest and they're going to be decent. And that's not at all what we've been met with out here. So
that's how I feel about the review.
I'm learning the lessons. What?
I keep looking on the game over there. It's called One Night Werewolf. That's how I feel about the reviewer.
What do you mean?
He's a one-night werewolf.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. What does he mean?
He went like on a tangent.
Oh.
Right.
That was a long review.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, anywho, that was day show. I can't even say day because we've been here since the first. That was show 5.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But yeah, with the largest house
yeah.
and the most enthusiastic people. And I love how they said that I wasn't funny and that it doesn't garner any laughs because it's so damaging. Everybody was like peeing their pants laughing tonight. And I mean, the show isn't really a comedy. It's not meant to be funny. Their rebuttal was that it's so poorly written that nobody finds it funny. Yet the funny is where everybody's laughing like that. They're like, it has no crescendo. It's just all pile upon pile. And I'm like, no, the parts that are funny, you didn't, you know. Anyway,
go on all night.
You can go on all night, exactly. But anywho, that's what happens when you're an artist, and you roll with it. So we'll see. We'll see what they say if they're gonna still. I'm sure they're probably still gonna post it. But what do you do?
What do you do?
You move on. So yeah, tomorrow is another day, another show. We're still on. It's like a 9-day stretch of a run, and I'll be back tomorrow.
I'm not even doing a show and I'm exhausted.
Oh, I feel good actually.
I thought you were taking first Sunday off.
All the bullshit is what did you say? Where are the kids?
Where are the kids?
Well, I wish I had more than one. Hopefully we all have
good
more
night.
than one. But the furry kids, there's a family staying at our house watching our.
The other kids right behind us.
The other kids behind us.
He'll stay up till 3 a.m. if we let him.
He's going to bed as soon as we're done here. We're still kind of adjusting to the time change, but yeah, no, I'm not at all tired. Like that was another thing I thought I would be like exhausted from performing. Performing energizes me. I love it. And I know he is great to support me. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. You talk me off so many ledges, and but it's all the bullshit that's getting me. Like it's not like even that. You were like, how did you feel about tonight? And we were like, because we always walk home. It's like a 30-minute walk home from the theater. So we just walk and debrief and walk it out. And you're like, how'd you feel about tonight? And I was like, what part? And you're like, the performance. And I'm like, oh, golden. I'm like, I was in it. I was alive. I was energized. I was feeling it. I was having fun with the crowd. You know, I was in my emotions. They were laughing. They were crying. I'm like, it was amazing. And then I'm like, what do you mean about the other stuff? And then I was like talking about the review and talking about the booking theater and talking about running late, and talking about the tech and talking about the attitudes. And I'm like, that's the part that's taking me out. Like that's the part that's heavy on me. It's not it's not the show, and it's not performing. What I'm actually here to do is it is great. It's going perfect. My voice is great, my energy is great, my body is great. Like I feel great. It's all the other bullshit that's happening around me that is heavy. So yeah, but I appreciate everybody's comments and tuning in and being here and listening and, you know, sharing and hearing me out. And just, I'm glad I'm sharing all this, you know, with you, whether you're a performer or creative or you put yourself out there in any way. You know, if anybody's ever thinking of coming and doing the Edinburgh Festival, you know, I think it's important for you to know these things. That's why I keep sharing the experiences that I'm having. Because again, I would hate for you to come out here and have a horrible experience and me go, yep, I knew that was like that. I don't want, you know, I'm surprised that this gentleman threatened saying he'll never perform in Edinburgh again. The Fringe didn't do anything about it. That kind of shocks me, but anyway, you know, Peter's like, are you going to go to bed or not? So yeah, we are going to go to bed. So that's that. So just keep sending me some love, and yeah, I don't even know what to say. Just I'll watch this is my last final thought. I got an email from the Fringe Society because they send out like weekly updates, and it said Edinburgh Fringe is a celebration. There was like something like a tagline or something, and it said it's a celebration of the arts. Like it's the biggest celebration of the arts. And I was like, right. Celebration. We have to celebrate that we're out here. I don't know. I know he wasn't drunk. I think he was just an asshole. I think that's just, I think my show really triggered him, and he felt the need to tell everyone about it. Or he felt the need. I get a lot of that. People are like, I'm gonna put her in her place. I get that all the freaking time. And it's like, buddy, I grew up with the most toxic of narcissistic people. Like, you're not gonna you can't do or say anything to me that's not already probably been done or said to me. Like I'm bulletproof, buddy. But yeah, I worry more about, like I said, the people that are gonna be reading that. That's where I go into protect mode. but it's a celebration. And I thought we have to celebrate that we're out here. We have to celebrate the bravery that we, 100% Pina. You know, we have to celebrate that we're strong women and we get people who fight us
all day long,
and that we can fight the good fight.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of time it's men too.
Always men. Men always come at me. I mean, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's a whole.
We're not going to get into.
Show.
We're not going to get into the patriarchy and why men, strong men, or not strong men. Why weak men is what I meant to say. I'm tired. Why weak men are threatened by strong women. Like you're not threatened by strong women.
No.
No.
I raised them up.
Of course
I love
you
it.
do. And we're raising Oliver to be that way.
Yep.
Weak men, like the men that I've been celebrating. Jesus, because I see celebrating on there. Weak men that I have been going up against are the ones that are draining.
Yeah.
Because they don't like being questioned. So yeah, celebration that we're here, celebration that we're doing the show, celebration of the lives that it's touching, celebration of the beautiful tech person tonight who really wants to make things right.
Yeah, that's what Pam was saying. I hope you hit the same tech girl.
Me too. And
yeah, she's lovely.
And she shared with us on the first night that her brother is narcissistic and that it was, my mom and my dad, but it was her brother. So it's touching people. So anywho, I'm like mixing up words and saying wrong things. So
time to wrap it up.
So thanks for listening, and we'll hope for a good show tomorrow. And okay. That's cute. Sometimes know it's a bag of shit being thrown at your face. The bigger the reaction, the more powerful the statement. Most of the statements you received are positive. Oh, I love you too, Amanda. And powerful. Sounds like you encountered someone who was also equally moved, just negatively. That's what I said to you when we were sitting at the countertop. I said, I must have triggered the crap out of him. I said, because if you feel the need to write that long of a hurtful statement, like if you have to feel the need to lash out like that, ooh.
Yeah.
Also means you're making a huge. That's a beautiful perspective shift. Thank you. Which everyone is kind of, hitting on, I guess.
Yeah. That's the sentiment overall, exactly.
Yeah,
but I mean, once again, that's my point. Kathleen Hilche, teaches and has trained her ass off on anti-bullying methods and created her own method. Yeah. I respect that comment.
And what do we know about people who hurt people? Hurt people. Right?
That's it.
People who feel less than feel like they need to take someone down. People who feel weak feel like they need to make you weak. Like that's people who, just are in their stuff, are going to try to kill anything that's positive and having an impact. And that's what I'm experiencing out here on the critic side, which is hard because, like I said, on the audience side, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
On the critic side, it's like, sit down, shut up. And I'm not going to do that. Because I don't even know how many more. I got 18, 16 more shows or whatever I have. So, anywho, thanks for being here. I know we went really late today, but I thought the message was important. And I love you guys.
Didn't you say it was going to be short tonight?
I did.
Yeah. Lisa's like, I gotta be short. Good night.
Okay.
Till tomorrow.
We will not be silenced.
Damn straight.
Fucking right. All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.